Welcome to NintendoFuse GameChat. Today we're going to discuss Ittle Dew 2 Plus, and today I have Barry joining me with me today.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
And this was a smaller indie title, came up by Nikios. First impressions off the top, what did you kind of think of it, Barry?
Uh, this is one of those titles that I picked up because Nicholas has been putting out a lot of good titles, and I really appreciate them putting out physical titles. So I grabbed it first print, and honestly, I, if my in-laws didn't come, I might not have picked this up because I was stuck off the main TV. I was playing the Switch Portable, and sure enough, I looked at it and I was like, this immediately reminded me of A Link to the Past. When I looked at the back, I said, I gotta play this. So of course I popped it in, and I was in love within mere seconds. Like the art, the humor, just in the general in the story, how it doesn't take itself seriously, and it's almost fourth wall breaking with how surreal it is. Like, oh, here's a puzzle here, got to remember to reset the puzzle after you do it. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is actually pretty well done. But no, I was enamored. I was honestly enamored, and I could not put it down. Like, I was angry when I had to put it down. Like, I just wanted to keep playing. It was great.
Yeah, I definitely share a lot of those sentiments. I really enjoyed the first one. I don't know if you actually had played the first one on Wii U.
No,
I know
I
you're
hadn't.
anti-digital, but I didn't know if that one slipped through the cracks for you and you actually got it. But
Yeah, I did not play the first one, so I know there were some callbacks to the first one. I understood those, like I understood when those were callbacks, but I didn't get the. I appreciated them, but I didn't get it. But for someone who did play the first one, I'm sure you appreciated it.
yeah, I mean, a lot of it was like the same. Like you had like the stick, and then it eventually became the sword, and then it was like some of the same kind of flow stuff. And you got to pick you had to like actually purchase the weapons though, so it kind of more went to like a Link Between Worlds kind of style setup. But
Interesting.
you did get to keep all of them in the end then. But it
Did
was like
uh, were there potions in the first one? Like, were there actual potions to use?
I believe so. I don't remember exactly. I think it sounds familiar, so I think so, but I haven't played the first one in I don't know, at least 4 years or something like that. So
Because I know that there was the running joke throughout this whole thing, which was
yeah.
humorous. Tipsy just wanted those potions, and Idle just kept drinking them. Like, nope, you're not getting any, and you never got potions in the game, which would have helped so much. My God, would it have helped? But no potions for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't really feel like you really lost a lot of life for the most part, unless you were like actively like, just like running into the spike and it reloads the room, and then you had to redo
Well,
it over and over again. But
I found the dungeons very. Uh, I think the term is like roguelike, where like I would get to say I would go in 3 rooms and I would die, and then I would go back and I would knew what to do, and I would get to the fourth room and figure that out, maybe to the fifth room and then die and then come back, and this time I would get to the sixth, seventh room, and eventually I beat it, and I really appreciated that. Like, it wasn't like uber challenging hard, but it was tough enough that made me want to conquer. And I'll say this: the people who, if the developers are actually listening to this, that'd be great. But if you created those puzzles, man, mazel tov to you. Those puzzles were, some of them were really good, especially in the dream world. My God, were they creative?
yeah, not only the dream world, but even like the bonus dungeons. There
Bonus
was like
dungeon was
there was
insane.
like you like some of them like I was like, do I really have to look up like how to do this? And then like after like pure luck, I would like, why didn't I think of this before? And then it's like boom, like you can actually shoot the thing diagonally. You can do this. I mean, it's
A lot of
like
it was also like timed. Like, I remember one in the final dungeon to get the actual final weapon. Like, you had to fire one ball towards the wall and immediately like go up and turn around and fire as the ball came back, ricocheted, and you had it
Yep.
just perfectly to bounce you over. And I'm like, my God, that's crazy. Like I would have never thought of that. That was one I had to look up. I'm like, all right, I'm at a loss. And when I saw that solution, I was like, wow, that's totally like, thinking outside the box, and I love it. I'm angry I didn't figure out the solution, but I thought that's the kind of puzzles you get, especially in that final dungeon, where it stops being about the enemies and it just becomes each room is just a puzzle room.
Yeah, I think the one I think also in the final dungeon, or maybe it was in one of the dream worlds, so it was really difficult where you actually like had to like it was kind of similar to that one that we were just talking about, but you actually had to like get behind the block or something like that, and then like so then you could like move it because you couldn't like push it through that one corridor or something. It was
Yeah.
like a room with like the two reflecting mirrors, and you had to, like it shot it like down here, it came back, and then you had to like bounce it like the brick down, so then you could still be on the proper side to push it.
Yeah, some of them are just like, and that's the interesting thing, especially with the dream world. Like those puzzles are challenging, but they purposely take away everything that you don't need. So if you're stuck with the stick, you can beat it with the stick, and you just got to figure it out. And it's not like, oh, I'm just gonna whack it. Like, no, there is a true solution. And the only downside is that for the majority of the puzzles, not all the puzzles, but the majority of the puzzles, I felt there was only one solution. Like
Yeah.
some puzzle games, some Zelda games, you can tackle a puzzle several different ways, and it's interesting how people tackle it. Like these are very specific puzzle solutions. Like you have to do it one way, and that is the only way you can do it for the majority of the puzzles.
Well, yeah, because it's all 2D. I mean, if you're trying to refer to like Breath of the Wild, like
Oh,
obviously you have a lot more
even like a
tools
Link
at
to
your
the
disposal.
Past,
So,
there are puzzles that you could do different ways, and you could use bombs, or you could use the boomerang, or you could use the bombos medallion, or different solutions. And not every puzzle, of course. There are plenty
yeah.
of solo,
I mean,
solutions.
maybe it's because you have less of an arsenal, and it'll do so.
Oh yeah, much less of an arsenal. But you know what? The world was like it was well crafted.
Oh,
I
very, yeah. I liked how like the map filled in as you like walked along between the screens, and um, obviously kind of stunk that it might show you like, hey, there's a door here you can go in. But I mean, I guess you would have found that naturally if you actually looked around.
Yeah, and there were hints. There were the X hints that you could get if you found the scrolls. And he was like, "Oh, here's where this." And that was almost weird. It's like, "Yeah, you just figured out how to get through this cavern," and you open it up, and it's like, "Well, here's another cavern you got to go to." And it's like, "Oh man, that's my reward. Is you're telling me to go somewhere else?"
It's like, go here to claim your reward.
And even there is, and it wasn't even just like, "Oh, well, there's just a door." Like you then had to figure out how to open up that door and then do that mini little dungeon area to get the reward.
That might have actually like took you to like, the another sequence like, oh, survive here and don't get killed and defeat this really hard boss enemy with your stick.
Well, there's one of those right at the start. Like I was just in the starting area and I just surrounding, and there was a cave, and I was like, "Oh, what's in here?" And I think it was like a giant red turtle or something like that. And I died like maybe 5 or times. Like I refused to move on until I killed that turtle. Like I have to find out what this thing does, even if I'm not supposed to do it yet. It's put here right at the beginning for a reason. I have to be able to do it. Uh,
Yeah,
and I like.
I did find like the final area a little bit earlier than I was supposed to. So then like I was clearing a lot of those like super hard ones. And like there was like that one cave like in the final near the final area where you have to like defeat like three or four really hard enemies in a row.
Yeah.
It was like an ice monster with like the ice floor that was like just charging at you and all sorts of
Oh
crazy stuff
yeah.
that
That was a very hard dungeon.
I actually had to use the chainsaw on like the third one because I couldn't figure out I couldn't stay alive.
Well, see that's where the potions would come into place. The bosses, especially the true final boss, like the final boss for the secret dungeon. Like that was a gauntlet. Like that took me a long time because there's a lot of pattern recognition, and even if you'd figure out the pattern, it's very easy to mess up.
Yep. Like I remember I did like the first secret dungeon in between like 2 and 3 or something like that, or 3 and 4, and it was like super hard to beat the guy, and I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I can beat this guy, this giant robot guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I did. In terms of dungeons, that's another thing. Like you could do most of them out of order, which is great. Like I did the fourth dungeon, my second dungeon, and I didn't even realize it was the fourth dungeon until like it shows you like your sequence. I was like, oh, that was number four. Damn, where's not 1, 2, and 3? You know, like how did I miss 2 and 3? And I thought that was really cool. I like the open endedness of that's how Zelda 1 was,
Yep.
and obviously Breath of the Wild. It's it's a breath of fresh air. Like this is just if you like 2D Zelda, man, like yeah, you got to play this.
Yep. Definitely agree with that. Now, did you like all the music and like all the little sounds across the world and everything like that?
I think it fit. I'm trying to remember the exact soundtrack because it's been a couple months. And unfortunately, I played Xenoblade since, and Xenoblade's soundtrack is just wow, like phenomenal. But no, the music fit. I will say this: I did play because I did that one handheld. I did always have music on. Like there are some games, like even when like I'm playing in bed and my wife is sleeping, I'll turn the music off because I can play with the music off. And I could have played with the music off in this game, but it was good enough that I wanted to keep it on. Like it was very catchy. But honestly, I just don't. I can't recall a tune right now, and that's not the fault of the game. That's the fault of Xenoblade.
Yeah, I don't think I could like hum like any of the things, but I do remember those like a number of them that like were kind of like techno and electric themed that were really jamming to listen to, especially like in the dungeons and like the boss battles.
The boss battle, yeah, definitely
But
the boss
yeah,
battles. Like it gets you pumped up. It does its job. I mean, it's
yep,
not there to win a Grammy. It's there to do its job to keep you engaged and make you feel like you're on this quest. And it, to me, it did it. I mean, it certainly helped. It built the atmosphere.
yep. I definitely like the slower tunes, like at the overworld, like when you're just like outside, like areas was just very simple and like, oh, this is nice and relaxing. I'm just going for a little stroll with my stick and beating up these little turtle like enemies.
I did like how each section of the overworld did have its own theme too. Like when you went into a
Yep,
new quadrant, you heard the music transition. That I do
yep,
remember.
yep. That was really nice. Yep, yep. Let's see. I think we.
I was gonna say one thing that I did find confusing at the start was the teleport system because there is a teleport system, but they you just come to like this field with all these teleports, and the way it works is the top right teleport on that the field is the top right teleport on the map, but they don't tell you that. So without any labels, it's real trial and error for you to figure out. And I kind of wish it did have some kind of little guideline there.
Yeah, maybe like a little signpost, be like, oh, here you're going to like the Star Ruins or whatever.
Yeah, like just something like that because there are signposts all over the place.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that. I was like, I would go in like the bottom left one and didn't realize I was going in the bottom left of the map, and like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to go there. I wanted to go to the back to the forest,
Yeah, I
explore some
almost
more.
wish I wish that you could have just brought up the map as you do and just pick like highlight which one you want to teleport and just teleport to.
Yeah, that might have been a little bit cleaner way to do it. Like it been like on your in-game map to just select the teleport point and
I
not
mean
have
they
like
did
a.
that. They did that in the Link to the Past. I mean, you would
Yep,
call the flute with the bird, and then you could just choose where you land.
yep, yeah,
That's one gripe, but it's a minor gripe.
yep. Very minor.
A very minor gripe. It's you know, as far as I'm concerned, it's well worth your time. I mean, if you are watching this and you listen to our podcast and you would listen to our Game of the Year podcast for 2017, spoiler, out of our entire crew, Greg and I both picked It'll Do 2 Plus for our top favorite indie Switch game of the year. And that says something.
Yeah, there was a lot of games to go against it, and I definitely love these adventure-like games where you can go exploring. You don't have all this hand holding and just like, oh, solve this puzzle by just hitting this thing. And they're like, well, that's not really a puzzle. Or defeat all the enemies in the room. That's again not really much of a puzzle. It's
Yeah, it was definitely for me. I think it was different for each of us because you played the first one, you knew what you were expecting. For me,
yep,
I had no idea I was expecting going into it, and that's what's really cool, because of the perspective difference, and we both still loved it. Like I'm
yep.
half tempted to go back and play the first one if there were so many other games. However, Nicholas, if you decide to bring over the first one as well and do a physical package, I will gladly pick that up and rip open the package and just play that game. I'll find a way. I'll find the time then, for sure.
I just
Especially with the
remember with
purple
the
nature.
again with like, between the both of them together, they both had a lot of ice block puzzles. So it's
Oh
like
yes.
oh, you can shatter them, or you can try to maneuver them in such a way where it's going around all these other obstacles.
That was an interesting thing too. I didn't realize that at first. Like the ice blocks, you can cut diagonally, and that creates and you can then push it diagonally too. I'm like, oh wow, that opens the door because you're used to working on a grid system, not diagonal as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. The first one definitely didn't do like the diagonal stuff that I can remember, but it was definitely some like advanced stuff to like try to get them moving in the right directions that where you needed them to go. But
No, it's up there. I mean, it is a it is definitely one of those experiences that if you own a Switch, you should pick it up. And because it's physical, there is no excuse. Oh, I don't do digital or I don't do physical. It's both. See, you have your options, and it doesn't take up that much room either. So it's
what'd
worth
you
it.
think of all the lock picks and everything? Did you use a lot of them, or were you trying to like avoid using them?
I I'm one of those players that falls into the age old trap of role playing games or any game really. Oh, this is uber rare. Save it for, you know, a time when you really need it. Oh, you just beat the game and you still had them all. And that's exactly what happened. I think I had 10. I never used a single lockpick. I made it a point to make sure I didn't use it. It was almost like a challenge to myself. Like, no, do not use it. I want to find, if there's a key before this door, I want to find that key before I open that door. So I did not use a single lockpick. I think it's great for
Yeah.
people who are having trouble and they just want to get through it. I don't know how many there are in the game. I might have missed one, or 10 might be the max. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's an interesting way to help newer players without it being necessary. It was just kind of a bummer when I would do this big little side thing and I would go through this little cave and it's like open up the chest. You got a lockpick. Like, yay, I'm not using those.
Like, oh, another one, huh? I
Another
still
one
have.
to add to my ring.
I used one in one of the earlier dungeons just to test it out. I still did all the rooms to complete the dungeon 100% anyways, but I was just to try to test it out, just like, hey, wow, I can actually skip it. I was kind of curious to see if I could just run into the door, and then sure enough, boom, solved it.
Yeah, that's what I figured would happen. But I
And
was like,
then there was one in the ice tower I really had to use because I couldn't figure out the key, like how to get the key. It was like the double gap with the mirror, and I couldn't figure out how to clear the second gap to get the key. But
well, that's what they're there for. There's no shame,
yeah,
you know. You used what was given to enjoy the experience, and that's why it's there. And at
because
least they don't hand them to you. They do make you find them.
yep. But that was like the one that used legitimately because I was like, I have to give up on this. It's like eating me away to like, how am I gonna get this stupid thing?
Just to go to the next room and get stuck by another puzzle.
Yeah, that ice tower was very brutal because it was all
That's
about
some
using the ice
some.
block and the even like the wand a little bit too.
I still think the dream world and the secret dungeon, the final of the four, were by far the toughest puzzles in the game. By far. Ever- You
I
know,
had a lot of trouble with the initial bomb one, like or the dynamite one. I mean, like the dream world, like the beginning part of the
yeah.
dynamite. because you had to
Yeah, well,
like
that's
time it. You had to like throw it on like the conveyor belt, and it had to like explode at the perfect time, and you had to like
yeah.
sprint over to another switch to like hit it.
Well, they did that other stuff too in other dungeons where you actually had to put out the dynamite, then freeze it so it slows down, then blow it over onto like a conveyor belt at a perfect time so that it unfreezes and blows up at a switch like just perfectly.
Well, yeah, that was the very final one, but yeah,
So,
you couldn't use the freeze one and the initial dynamite one.
yeah, in the dream world, yeah. I'm just saying like those type of puzzles, like that's the kind of game. Like there's a lot of thought to this, and that's what's cool. You know, it's not like half-ass puzzles. Like these puzzles are legit tough. Like if you like puzzle games and like Zelda,
Yeah,
no brainer, get this game.
definitely agree. Well, I think we pretty much covered just about everything that we normally would cover for like a review. We give our strong recommendations. Definitely go get it. It's a very terrific game. Do you think there's anything else we need to add into it?
I don't think so. I think we've literally sat here this entire time singing the game praise, and we mean it because
Yeah,
it's just one of
it's
those.
definitely well deserved.
Yeah, I know, Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey and Xenoblade and Mario Kart and Splatoon 2. These get the recognition. Doom and Skyrim and Rocket League. You know, but if you look at the indies on the Switch have just been phenomenal. Nicholas has been putting out some amazing titles, and this is no different. If you like 2D Zelda, you need to play this game. Not even a you should, you need to play this game.
Yep, carve out some time, pick it up, enjoy some very good puzzles. You'll not be disappointed. All right, so I think that covers it for this episode of Game Chat. Please stay tuned on our YouTube channel for more Nintendo news, podcasts coming up, and other future game chats and industry talk and all the other good stuff that we post weekly. So this is Greg signing out. Take care.
Bye.